Black Panther Party is a black revolutionary nationalist, Pan-Africanist nationalist organization. Well, I like to say, usually when people ask that question, I kind of have to treat their motive suspect, because you know as well as I know in terms of the media, what they have put out about the Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party, and us being at odds against one another, I don't think that we are the enemies to each other at all, I respect the works and the accomplishments of the original party. I think that they are our elders, but the Black Panther itself, the emblem or the logo or the concept of the Black Panther was something that was started in Lowndes County, Alabama, with Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture. And many of the blacks that were voting during that time, they used that symbol as a political symbol. It was a political symbol. We're really the children of the original party, okay? And when they see us putting on their shoes, they should be happy about that, Sometimes they don't really understand. Sometimes you don't understand the children because sometimes it's a generation gap. And for us to take on the responsibility and take on the mantle of what they've done, it should really warm their heart. But even if it don't, we still believe in going forward ever. Backwards never, We're not going to go backwards. We going forward, whether the understanding is there or not, And I like to say that, those are his comments. I respect his comments, but I really don't, I don't really have anything to say other than that. Dr. Aaron Michaels in Dallas, Texas. In 1989, he founded the new Black Panther Party. And what happened is that they invited Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad to come in. The new Black Panther Party was just something that was local there in Dallas, Texas, in the Dallas area. And when Dr. Khalid Muhammad took over the leadership, was voted in as the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party, he spread it all across the country, all out of the countries. In several different countries, he took it over there, I've heard him made a statement about the government of South Africa and how if he was to rise to power in South Africa today, during that time he said if he was to become the president or the prime minister of South Africa, that he would give all whites in South Africa 24 hours to get out of town by sundown. And if not, he would just do what he had to do with them. But you would have to understand the climate of what was going on at the time when he made that comment. Whites in South Africa were very vicious toward black people, and they're still that way in South Africa today. Nelson Mandela and the other presidents have come up since that time, but still you have the idea that whether they're black-white dynamic, whites on the top, blacks on the bottom. And the whites are the real minority over there, but they're controlling everything in South Africa. Really, over much of the continent of Africa, whites are controlling the continent of Africa in terms of its economic resources, its mineral resource, everything. And so, you know, when Khalid Muhammad made that statement, you know, you had the system of apartheid was being dismantled, you know, where blacks had to have a pass to get certain places, man. You know, in your own country. Come on now. So you have to understand why he said what he said. Really, I've heard that before. In fact, I've read that. The first time I saw that was when the Savannah Morning News did an interview of me, but I don't recall making a statement like that. Now, I'll tell you what I did say, that in terms of the 10-point program and platform, I said that history has proven to us that the white man is absolutely disagreeable to get along with in peace, and that no one has been able to get along with the white man. And in fact, all people of color, that's black, brown, red, and yellow, have been subjected to the white man's wrath. And nobody has been able to get along with him. He's absolutely disagreeable to get along with in peace. Now, if you interpret that to mean that I said there are no good crackers, then that's on you. But those statements, that statement was not made like that. What I just quoted to you is what I said. You know, if I say something, I'm man enough to admit what I say. But whenever I'm misquoted, then I have to denounce that. You know, I don't have any part in that. Now, I think that there are some virtues. I think that America is one of the greatest nations on the face of the planet Earth, man.
In what respect?
I wouldn't want to live in no other country besides America, because after going to other countries, but America also has some housekeeping to do, man. Some serious housekeeping to do, okay? In terms of race relations, in terms of justice, in terms of cleaning up his act, globally speaking, okay? Now, I don't agree with what's going on in the Middle East at all. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that America should even be over there. You understand? I don't think that, because I'm saying if you're so concerned about freeing Iraqi people and having democracy among Iraqi people, then why are you ignoring so many black people over here who are in worse conditions sometimes, man? You can go right down the street here to Yamacraw Village, and you'll find that there are people that is living in abject poverty over there. You go right under the bridge over there, and you find blacks, whites, Hispanics, all living under the damn bridge, man. You can't sit there and say that you're going to ignore what's going on over here and then go all the way overseas to try to free somebody, man. That's just really lies. You understand? And it's about money and resources, is right as well. It's even that it's so strong that even among black people, that's a reality. You understand? Even among black people, because it goes so deep. The effects of that thing go so deep that many darker skinned blacks, they catch hell because of their complexion, man.
From their own race. From
their own race. You got many light skinned blacks that are prejudiced toward dark skinned blacks because of their complexion. You know, I had a young man that was working with me since he was maybe about 13, 14 years old. And he always say, you know, they don't like me because of my complexion. And he's absolutely right. He said every time they look at me like I'm nothing. Because the idea had how the black-white thing have gone all over the globe like that, man. I love Dr. King and I love Malcolm, you know. I'm more of a student of Malcolm. And I think that your younger blacks are more students of Malcolm because, you know, we look at the older generation of blacks today. They have become complacent and satisfied because they remember the position where blacks were at one time, and that we made great strides in terms of voting and public accommodations and Voter Rights Act, you know, which is being reviewed shortly. It's being revisited shortly. You know that, right? Right. But the younger generation of black people are not impressed because even though we made accomplishments and strides as a people, we still realize that we have a long way to go, man, and that we're still fighting. You know, it's a different fight today. But King represents that older generation of blacks who have become satisfied and complacent and think that everything's okay. We don't have to fight anymore. That Dr. King, he waged a nonviolent revolution where we got citizenship and public accommodations. So it's all over with. But the younger generation, who more influenced by Malcolm, we're not impressed with that. Many of us feel we were hoodwinked with the integration. We realize that integration is not just a mere romantic mixing of the colors, but it's a true sharing of the responsibility and power to govern and to rule. And until we're sitting at the table, and not just sitting at the table with no food on our plate. You understand? Sitting to the table with food on our plate. Then we can call ourselves a diner. If you're sitting to the table with no food on your plate, then you can't call yourself a diner. You just a spectator at the table. And so the idea of blacks closing down their businesses and white businesses flourishing as a result of integration, that was a loss for us. You know, when we couldn't go to white hotels, we had to stay at black hotels. We couldn't go to white restaurants and eat there as a family. We knew to go to black restaurants, black businesses. When we were mistreated by white business establishment, we knew to go to our own and support our own. But the minute integration kicked in, we saw it as an opportunity to go to other places that we were locked out of. And it served to destroy an economic institution among black people. I think the laws have changed, but the condition of the thinking have not changed.
At all?
No. It's just like, you know, during the civil rights movement, even during slavery, you had whites that was helping black people. You had whites back then that was helping black people, you know. Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, you know, Ida B. Wells, so many, Harriet Tubman. So many whites was helping, even during those marching outside King. But then, too, you had so many that was working against him. Mm-hmm. You understand? Mm-hmm. I realized that it's a lot of whites that will never sit down like you sitting down here, man. That was Yusuf Shabazz or Black Panther. No, man. You understand?
Mm-hmm. I personally have noticed some progression over. I mean, I see that black people are, you know, slowly becoming more professional. They're being more accepted in corporate America.
Uh-huh.
I see some of that progression.
Accepted how?
Huh?
Accepted how?
As far as CEOs, as far as doctors and lawyers, you know, I see black people getting better education slowly. I do see a progress.
And if you examine them, those black folk, you find out really they're not really black folks at all, man. It's like they're black on the outside, you know, but they're more white than black. I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
Well, when you say more white,
in terms of their thinking,
their mentality. Okay, I got you.
You know, brainwashed to think that they are that are whites. In fact, they would do nothing that they think that white folks will not agree with. Dr. King said that he yearned for the day that little black boys and little white girls and little black girls could one day hold hands together and sit at the table of brotherhoods, you know. White slave owners and former slaves to sit down at the table of brotherhood and all that stuff together. You know, that was a dream. But even today, that don't exist, man. It don't exist.
It does exist in some pockets, in some.
Right, but when you learn about mathematics, it's like if you got a number that says 1.37589, everything after that point up to two digits behind the decimal point, the rest of that you can throw that off somewhere, man. You understand that? In terms of mathematics, when you look at the numbers, it's so small a number that it is as though it don't even exist.
What about the increase in numbers over time?
It still haven't gotten up to the two digits behind the decimal point. It's still maybe about 7 or 8 digits behind the decimal point.
Wouldn't you agree that there's been an increase, though, an incline?
I can't really see it. It's almost like sitting there watching the clock. You know, when you're sitting there watching the clock, I can't see it, man. I can't see it. You know, it's taking on the course of gradualism so much that it looks as though things are standing still, man. You know, the elders used to say, the more things change, it seems like the more they remain the same, you know? This is what the elders used to tell us, okay? For one thing, I don't believe that we should characterize what happened to us as just slavery. You know, I believe that we should look at what the experiences that black people have gone through as a Holocaust. It's called a Black Holocaust. And after the Holocaust, there should be atonement, and there cannot be atonement by the perpetrators of the Holocaust without compensation. You understand? You know, I don't believe that the present day generation are responsible. Present day generation of whites are responsible for what their parents did. I can't hold you responsible for what your parents did, or what whites' parents did, but you are in a benefiting position as a result of what happened. And we catch hell on a daily basis because as a result of what happened. You understand what I'm saying? And so something has to be done. Not just affirmative action and not just Section 8 housing, not just government subsidized housing or projects, food stamps, WIC, debit cards, you know, not just that. I believe that a comprehensive program of repair should be put in place till the damages are repaired. You understand? Then I wouldn't tell black folks not to fight fight in the military then. But I don't believe that blacks should fight to protect the government that will not protect them. You understand what I'm saying? When there are so many black people that fought, bled, and died in every war that America had. We left our bodies on the beaches of Normandy. Every war that America had, we took up arms. But then we came back here and couldn't get respect, couldn't even get a loan to build housing. Had to fight the government to even get taken care of back here. And even today. I talked to one of the original 9. That was one of the original 9 black officers that was at the Savannah Police Department. And they were saying that they could not arrest a white person. They were only hired to send down, for them to go down in the black community and harass their own people. Just that alone, you know. Come on, man. You know, you couldn't arrest, you couldn't stop a white person driving. That's a sick mind. If the law is the law, then it should be subjected. Everybody should be subjected to that law, not just a certain segment of the people. You understand? If I see you robbing a bank, if I see you breaking the law because you're white, I can't stop you because I'm a black officer. Come on, man. You subtly you have that even today. I think that they should fight for reparations, man. That we should fight to force the government to deal with the question of reparations. You understand? We fight for everything else. You know, we fought for affirmative action. Is that right? In fact, if it wasn't for affirmative action, many blacks wouldn't be in position today. You agree with that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, wouldn't be in position today. But affirmative action they agreed to affirmative action because they knew that something was owed. Something had to be given, you know. In fact, there are many cases right now where black families are going after certain private companies, like the railroad company, you know, insurance companies, savings and loan companies, where they're filing reparations lawsuits, all in Chicago, all in Philadelphia, where they found out where there's companies that profited off of slave labor. You understand what I'm saying? Working people for over 400 years for no pay. For no pay, man. You wouldn't work for an hour. Is that right? You wouldn't work for hours if you knew you weren't going to get paid, man. Would you?
Depends what I'm doing. But
no, I'm talking about work that you know you should be compensated for. No, you wouldn't do it.
Right.
You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it, you know, at all. And anybody in their right mind wouldn't do it. But we were forced to do that. Let me say this, that another way that our condition could be improved is developing stronger bonds of unity between one another. You understand?
between
and not being
blacks
so
and blacks or whites
between blacks. We have to, you see, you know, it's impossible for me to talk about unifying with you and whites when we're not really unified among ourselves yet. When we don't have a healthy respect for one another yet. You understand what I'm saying? What I look like trying to unify and respect somebody else when I don't, you know, right among my own, I have to work on that. You understand what I'm saying? When you come to the table, when everybody comes to the table, we all got to come to the table with something. Is that right? Is that right? Right now, if you go into a partnership with a person, 3 or 4 people, you don't want to just bring the money to the table, is that right? You want them to be able to invest something as well, is that right? So we have to be able to bring something to the table as well, you know? And if we unify and have a healthy respect for one another, then when we unify with you and other people, then, you know, we can't just come unify. The black community can't just come to the table and unify with other people when we're broke, raggedy, homeless, run down, don't have nothing. You know, we have to get our own act together first, among each other. See, because if we come to the table with you in that condition, then, you know, it ain't gonna serve no purpose, man. If I say, well, you travel with me to Carl Griffin Drive, and I show you that blacks fill the rafters, or fill to the rafters, in the cells, in the jails there at the Chatham County Detention Center. You know, don't get angry with me because I say that they're there. You know, if I say that the community, the police put our community in a police state, don't get angry and say I'm teaching hate, because I tell you what's happening with that. You understand? If I say that the voter rights bill is being revisited, and it's because why should we have a voter rights bill anyway? If we're citizens, then we shouldn't have to have a right to vote. We should just vote. Is that right? I'm asking you.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, we shouldn't have to have a public accommodations bill. We shouldn't have to be fighting for civil rights. For what? You understand? You know, oftentimes people misconstrue that for teaching hate. And if they do say that that's hate, it's only a hate that hate produced. You understand? If I'm teaching hate, then it's a hate that hate produced. But what I'm saying is not hate. I've never taught anyone, any of our people, to hate whites or Jews or anybody. But I have taught our people that we should have a healthier love for ourselves. That we should be taught a knowledge of self. You know? But it's impossible for you to love yourself when you don't have knowledge of yourself. When you don't know who you are. You know more about the Greeks and the Romans than you do about Africa. Is that right? I have to stay focused on the liberation struggle and to bring our people to a point of true and complete freedom. That's what my mind is on, man. My whole life is geared toward that. Okay? And the only thing I want to see is black people rise from the position where we are at, from the feet of other people, till we become respected among the civilized world. Okay?
And when you guys do that, then what?
Then what? Then we can properly relate to anything else. But we have to first have a healthy knowledge of self and do something for self and have a love of self before we can love anybody else, man.
What about unification? Once you reach that point?
Well, I think that once we reach that point, then all that stuff will take care of itself. But we got to get to that point, man. You got to get to that point. Got to get there.
You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord.
People, get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key. Open up the door.